Most leadership advice we hear is based on outdated ideas or unrealistic expectations. Did you know that nearly 60% of leaders fail within the first 18 months of taking on a new role? And it's not because they lack skill, it's because they rely on advice that doesn't work. Leadership isn't about just following common wisdom or pretending to have all the answers. It's about understanding people, adapting to situations, and building trust. In this video, we're going to dig deep into why most leadership advice fails. We'll explore the surprising truth behind perfectionism in leaders, how universal advice can be harmful, and why trust matters more than fear. You'll also learn why the idea of a born leader is a myth and why collaboration is far more powerful than commanding. Get ready to challenge everything you thought you knew about leadership. This isn't your typical leadership talk. Let's dive in and discover what really works. Chapter 1. The Mask of Perfection. Why flawless leaders don't exist. Leadership advice often paints a picture of perfection. Confident, polished, and always in control. But here's the truth. Perfection isn't real. A 2020 study by the Harvard Business Review found that employees are more likely to trust leaders who are open about their mistakes than those who try to maintain an image of flawlessness. When leaders try too hard to be perfect, they come off as robotic, distant, and out of touch. People don't connect with perfection, they connect with vulnerability. Leaders who embrace imperfection create a culture of growth. The best leaders share their struggles, learn from failure, and ask for help. Brené Brown, author of Daring Greatly, argues that vulnerability is the cornerstone of courageous leadership. It's the ability to admit you don't have all the answers and still move forward. That's what makes people trust you. In fact, 65% of employees in a Gallup survey said they'd rather work for a leader who admits mistakes than one who claims to know everything. If you want to be a great leader, stop hiding behind a facade. Show your team that it's okay to fail and learn. This builds a culture of openness and resilience. Leaders who try to be perfect miss the opportunity to foster true connection with their teams. Chapter 2. The Myth of Universal Advice. One size doesn't fit all. Here's a shocking fact. 1/3 of leaders fail within the first 18 months in a new role. Why? Because they try to apply the same leadership advice everywhere, regardless of the unique challenges of their team or organization. Universal advice doesn't work because leadership is situational. Every company, team, and culture is different. A leadership strategy that works in one place might fail in another. For example, a directive, top-down leadership style may work in a fast-paced startup, but in a collaborative environment, it could lead to burnout and disengagement. Studies have shown that employees in collaborative workplaces are 25% more likely to stay with the company long-term. Great leaders know how to adapt. They understand the strengths and weaknesses of their team. They adjust their approach based on the situation at hand. A great example is Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, who shifted the company's culture from a know-it-all to a learn-it-all mindset, which revitalized Microsoft's growth. The lesson here? Leadership isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. You must understand the context before taking action. Chapter 3. Leading through fear versus leading with trust. The silent destroyer. The old-school approach to leadership often relies on fear. Leaders bark orders, create strict hierarchies, and push their teams to perform under pressure. This kind of leadership may get results in the short term, but it's destructive in the long run. Research shows that fear-based leadership leads to higher stress, burnout, and turnover. In fact, employees who feel scared at work are 60% more likely to quit. On the other hand, trust-based leadership fosters a sense of safety and psychological security. Google's Project Aristotle found that the best teams aren't necessarily the most talented, but those with high levels of trust. When people feel trusted, they feel motivated to go above and beyond. Trust isn't just about being kind. It's about empowering others to make decisions, take risks, and contribute their ideas. The trust-based model not only improves individual performance but also boosts team collaboration. When trust exists in a team, collaboration increases by 40%. The bottom line? Fear may get you immediate results, but trust creates lasting success. Leaders like Simon Sinek, author of Leaders Eat Last, argue that true leaders create an environment where people feel safe to contribute and innovate. Trust should be your foundation. When you trust your team, they trust you back, and that's when the magic happens. If you're enjoying this content, don't forget to subscribe. You won't want to miss out on more game-changing leadership insights. Chapter 4. The myth of the born leader. Are you really just an imposter? The idea that some people are born leaders is pervasive. We hear it all the time. He has natural charisma. She's a born leader. But this is a myth. In reality, leadership is a skill that anyone can learn and develop. Research shows that 75% of leadership effectiveness comes from learned behaviors, not inherent traits. The belief in the born leader can be harmful. It sets unrealistic expectations for those who don't naturally possess certain qualities. It also discourages those with potential from developing their leadership skills. According to the Leadership Challenge by James Kozes and Barry Posner, the most effective leaders aren't born, they're made. They learn by doing, failing, and constantly improving. Leadership is a journey, not a birthright. Many successful leaders didn't start out as natural-born leaders. For example, Howard Schultz, former CEO of Starbucks, wasn't initially a charismatic figure. But through hard work, learning, and adaptability, he became a leader who revolutionized the coffee industry. This highlights that leadership development is not about waiting for a spark. It's about cultivating the right mindset and skills over time. If you're waiting for the born leader trait to appear, stop. Instead, focus on building your leadership capabilities every day. Invest in your growth, seek feedback, and learn from others. Your leadership ability will improve with time and effort, no inherent traits required. Chapter 5. The dangers of echo chambers. Why advice from your inner circle can hold you back. Surrounding yourself with people who always agree with you might feel comfortable, but it's dangerous for your growth as a leader. Leadership advice from an echo chamber can be harmful. Studies show that when leaders are surrounded by people who only share their viewpoints, they become more susceptible to groupthink, which stifles innovation and problem-solving. Effective leaders don't just seek validation from their inner circle, they seek diverse perspectives. A 2017 study from the Harvard Business Review found that leaders who embrace diverse opinions make better decisions. When you surround yourself with people who challenge your thinking, it forces you to consider new ideas, reducing the risk of poor decisions. This doesn't mean you should ignore your inner circle. It means you should actively seek feedback from different sources. In fact, studies show that leaders who receive feedback from their teams and colleagues are 50% more likely to succeed in their roles. It helps to foster an environment where differing opinions are valued and used to improve team outcomes. Great leaders know how to manage their ego. They're comfortable hearing uncomfortable truths and using them to fuel their growth. So, take a step outside your comfort zone and invite constructive criticism. This helps you become a more well-rounded and effective leader. Chapter 6. Leadership is not a solo mission. Why collaboration beats commanding? For too long, leadership was seen as a solo act. The traditional image is of the solitary leader, standing at the front and giving orders. But the best leaders know that leadership is about collaboration, not command. Research shows that teams with strong collaboration outperform those with hierarchical structures. In fact, companies with collaborative cultures are 5 times more likely to be high-performing than those with a top-down approach. Collaboration creates innovation. When people work together, they bring diverse skills and ideas to the table. According to a study by McKinsey, teams that are highly collaborative are 35% more likely to outperform their peers. This is because collaboration brings out the best in everyone, leading to creative solutions and better decision-making. One example of this is the leadership style of Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft. Nadella moved the company away from a command and control culture to one where teamwork and open communication were prioritized. This shift was a key factor in Microsoft's turnaround. His focus on empathy and collaboration resulted in a more inclusive and effective workplace. Great leaders know they don't have all the answers. They recognize that their role is to bring out the best in others. Instead of always being the one to direct, they focus on fostering a team environment where everyone's voice matters. By empowering others, leaders can build more successful, resilient organizations. To be an effective leader, you need to think less about giving orders and more about creating a culture of collaboration. Your team has valuable ideas and insights, use them. Collaboration not only leads to better results, but it also strengthens relationships and creates a sense of ownership across the organization. If this video has helped you rethink leadership, hit subscribe to stay updated on more leadership strategies that work. Thanks for watching, and keep leading with confidence.